Versace Dylan Bleu. This fragrance has gotten hate ever since it came out, but in actuality, it's one of the absolute best blue fragrances that you can buy. It doesn't cost all that much from discounters. The presentation is really nice. It's a compliment factor. It's versatile, and you can actually put this right up side by side with some of the biggest blue fragrances out there, and it holds its own. The opening is super enticing, a great blend of fruit and fresh spices. As it dries down, it's got a bit of incense that comes out, which gives it more body, more depth, and makes it where you can wear it year round. And the only issue I really have with Dylan Bleu is there's no flankers. Versace, what are you doing? You came out with this stuff, it sells like crazy, people wear it all the time, and then you don't come out with another one? Put down the crack pipe. Where's another Dylan Bleu? Hey friends, Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Hope you're well. Today, 12 of the best blue fragrances you can buy. All of these are gonna be linked in the description. Feel free to check them out down there. And you may have thought that blue fragrances are on the way out, that they're a thing of the past. No. While they may not be coming out with the same ferocity that they used to, where every single brand was dropping a blue fragrance, it seemed like every week, there are new ones on the horizon. Jean Paul Gaultier is coming out with a new Le Male in blue just this year. So it looks like there will be yet another entry into the blue fragrance wars, going up against some of the big dogs like Dylan Bleu. Now the next one is one that a lot of people would be like, it's not a blue fragrance. Look at the bottle. The bottle is not blue. And the fragrance does not smell the exact same as something like Dylan Bleu. I'm saying that word a lot. If you take a shot every time I say blue, you're dead. I'm sorry. But this fragrance I feel like is the modern blue fragrance. Like this does the same stuff that blue fragrances do, which in case you're unaware of what that even means, blue scents in general are considered to be fragrances that are very versatile. Like you could wear them pretty much whenever you want. A lot of times they follow a similar scent profile, citrus a lot of times, or a sweet fruit. And then as it dries down, more of a modern woodiness, usually with a touch of spice in there as well. And they're not really made to be high art or anything like that. They're made to be worn, made to be used, made to get compliments. That's what they're for. Now this next entry is YSL Myself, the Eau de Parfum. Like I said, a lot of people may look at that and go, nah, that bottle is black and it is a little different, so it doesn't count. But I would argue this does the exact same stuff and it is done in a similar mindset. So in terms of notes, this one does have citrus off the top as bergamot. There's also orange blossom in here. And then you have a bit of an amber woodiness as it dries down. And that's pretty much about the whole note breakdown. It's pretty simplistic. Ultra fresh and clean, just the right balance of sweetness. And this is one of the best-selling fragrances in the world for men right now. It is insanely popular. And the reason for that is basically all the reasons I described a blue fragrance exists. Wearability, compliment factor, all that stuff. This thing, one of the absolute best out there. For me, it's more of like a spring, summertime type of scent. But if you're looking for a modern fragrance that absolutely everyone will love, that you can wear anywhere, that has kind of a clean laundry-esque vibe, that right there. That's what you want. Let's throw it to something cheaper, Legend Bleu by Montblanc. This stuff right here, it smells like Percival by Parfums de Marly. And in case you've never smelled Percival, that smells similar to Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce in a lot of ways. But yeah, between those two, this one does lean closer to the PDM, which is actually a good thing for you because the PDM is more expensive. So you can get this, have something much cheaper that smells like something much more expensive, and if you want to, you can tell a fib and say you're wearing Percival. Nobody will know the difference. Unless you run into the final boss of fragrances who calls you out on it, which I don't see that happening. Yeah, you thought I was gonna fall for that? Percival, huh? How convenient. Well, my friend, I can tell that's actually Legend Bleu. How do I know? Well, it's easy. The lack of natural ingredients and the use of synthetics. I don't think that'll happen. So yeah, Legend Bleu, this stuff at discounters, really affordable, has a really nice freshness, kind of a modern aquatic vibe to it because it does have more of a sweet lavender aspect. Ultra clean, a little bit soapy, you know, out of the shower type vibe. Younger guys can wear this, middle-aged, older guys, really doesn't matter. It's kind of a classic scent profile at this point, and it is not quite as in your face as Fierce used to be many years ago. So if your only remembrance or experience with Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce was when it was in its heyday, you know, any mall that you went into, you would smell that stuff, it would smack you in the face from like 500 yards or meters away. If you're thinking of that when I say it's a little similar to Fierce and you go, oh no, that's just headache inducing, don't worry. This one is more modern. Like I said, it has a nice sweetness that kind of helps balance it out. Not as cloying and in your face. All right, boys, what are we talking about next? Let's throw this one out there next. Valentino Born in Roma. Now, this is when the bottle was first released. It, you know, used to have this little thing here, and the spikes actually just slipped over the collar. It is different nowadays. It has an actual cap, and the atomizer is no longer built in, and this isn't a little plastic ring. I'm only telling you that because if you look at my bottle here and you go look at, you know, Born in Roma at a store, you'll be like, that's not the same thing. It is, they just changed the design. So Born in Roma right here, this basically takes Invictus, Paco Rabanne's Invictus, that scent profile, and does a little twist to it. It's got a great minerality to it, which helps balance out some of that bubblegum from Invictus. Now, this still does have some of that bubblegum sweetness that the Invictus line is really well known for, but because it has more of that freshness, like I said, that minerality that helps balance it out, it does become more wearable. So even if you're talking like late spring, even into summer, you can pull this one off, whereas Invictus maybe would come across a little too heavy-handed. You also have in here as official notes, sage, ginger, some sea salt, and then as it dries down, vetiver and additional woody notes, which actually carried over into Born in Roma Intense, which Born in Roma Intense also just smells amazing. I actually like the scent profile of that one a little bit more, but it is way more focused on vanilla. It's much sweeter, heavier than this one. And if we're talking all year use, like that blue fragrance versatility, you would rather be wearing this than Intense. Biased fragrance alert. The next one, I am clearly biased, so we're gonna go through it real quick. South Slope. This is Michael Malul X Gents Scents. So I creatively directed this fragrance. You can find it in every Perfumania, every fragrance outlet store in the country. You can also find it online at like Nordstrom, Michael Malul's website, a few other places. Pressurized atomizer, no magnetic cap. Dang it. So stupid. Oh, and by the way, this is going into a new bottle pretty soon, so be aware of that. This current bottle will be no more. It's gonna be a little while, but not like a super long while. Absolutely 100% was intended to be a blue fragrance right from the rip. It does have some similarities to Y Eau de Parfum, Y Eau de Toilette. Looking down, I got one right here. So this is one where like you have to do a side by side. And when you do that, you'll get all the differences between them. But if you have just this and you don't have this on at the same time, when you spray this, you will be reminded of this. South Slope is sweet, has a great lavender note in there, also has black currant as well. Has more of like an ozonic freshness to me off the top when you compare it to Y Eau de Parfum. And whereas Y Eau de Parfum leans onto the apple note, this one, South Slope, leans into citron, also Italian mandarin, and then leather as it dries down. But honestly, either one of these, you can go year round, whenever you want, daytime or evening, though if it's really hot in the middle of summer, I'd probably wear, if I were gonna wear something from the Y line anyway, Y Eau de Toilette over the Eau de Parfum. But outside of that, year round, good to go. The next fragrance is a newer one that is an absolute compliment monster. It's one that when I first smelled it, I was not overly keen on. And I still do think that it's not the most unique thing that I've ever smelled. But if we're just talking for this video, we're talking versatility, compliment factor, everything that a blue fragrance is known for, then this ticks all those boxes. But before we jump into that one, codes. The JOMASHOP ones have changed. Be aware of that, guys. They change every quarter. Essentially, all that actually changed this time was they dropped the S off of Gents, so it's Gent, and then the codes, but you know, whatever. And then I've got codes for Fragrance Lord, for Frag Flex, and many other stores, so use those anytime you shop at those stores. Save yourself some cash. The next fragrance, Paradim by Prada, which this is a big swing for Prada because basically what they're doing here, they're coming out with their men's line, you know, trying to mirror the success of Paradox on the ladies' side, which is their most successful women's fragrance line. So they're like, we gotta do that for men. Here it is. I would be shocked if there's not a new Paradim flanker this year. I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but what it feels like, what it looks like they've done is they've gone, okay, Prada L'Homme, probably gonna walk that one back. Hopefully not. Hopefully they come out with a new flanker and keep it alive, but looks like they're walking that back and they're gonna be Luna Rossa and Paradim focused, at least for the short term. That's what it looks like to me. So presentation-wise, nice, clean, slick looking, modern, has this nice green gradient here. And the fragrance is, you know, a little bit in that wheelhouse of this one over here, myself. Main differences are going to be that Paradim opens up with a nice kind of green, lightly tart sweetness. It's got bergamot in there, it has musk, there's geranium as well. And as it dries down, it's more ambery. so it has a little more warmth to it. It's got benzoin in there, it has Peru balsam, and so it kind of plays in the same ballpark as Myself, but it's doing it in a different way. Whereas Myself keeps things clean, it keeps things fresh. Paradim goes a little bit heavier, a little bit denser, just a little bit darker as well, but still kind of trying to keep that similar vibe. Gotta go with an Invictus here, and I'm going with Parfum. I talked about Invictus, the original one over here with Born in Roma. This one though is more grown up. It's a little bit more put together, a little bit more elegant. So you get that same mass appeal that the Invictus line is known for. You just get a little bit more of a soapiness, less of that bubblegum kind of assault off the top. It looks slick, it looks high end, at least as much as a fake trophy bottle can. And to me, if I were thinking about getting an Invictus and I wanted to keep it in that Invictus wheelhouse, like what the fragrance was originally known for, I would skip the original at this point. I would go for either Invictus Parfum, or if I wanted to keep it fresher and I wanted more of that sweet aspect, I would go Invictus Aqua. But I think to my own taste, if I were gonna keep just one, and I wanted it in that original Invictus style, I would go Parfum. Now, I can't do a list like this and not include Sauvage. Sauvage Eau de Parfum, to be specific. Look, at the end of the day, Sauvage is, as of right now, the most popular men's fragrance in the world. This is what pretty much everybody and their mama is wearing. It's what everybody's getting for presents, you know, for the holidays. People go into their local Sephora, Macy's, wherever, and they're like, I wanna buy a fragrance for so-and-so. What's the most popular thing here? What's the thing everybody likes? And they're gonna bust this right out and they're gonna hand it to you. So obviously it goes without saying, if you're looking for something that is slightly more under the radar, it's not gonna be this. But to be fair, most all the fragrances here are pretty popular. And it's because they do all the things we talked about at the beginning. And for your average person, that's kind of like the boxes that they want to tick. So in terms of the scent profile, you've got bergamot in here, you know, very similar opening to the Eau de Toilette in a lot of ways. You have Sichuan pepper, you have ambroxan, you have vanilla, you've got lavender. It's gonna be a bit smoother than the Eau de Toilette. It's not gonna be as metallic, you know, not as potentially grating off the top, and it has that nice vanilla in there. So that's gonna help with the smoothness, and it's gonna give a nice little boost of sweetness too. So if we're talking just straight up Sauvage, you know, EDT, EDP, or the Parfum, I would suggest the Eau de Parfum for most people. And that means I have to have a Bleu de Chanel also, and this time I'm gonna go a little different. I'm gonna go with the Parfum. Now the Eau de Parfum is the one that is gonna give you the absolute most versatility. So if that's what's most important to you, get that. But I do think here that the Parfum version of Bleu de Chanel is better than the Parfum version of Sauvage. So if I were gonna get one EDP, it'd be that one, and one Parfum, it'd be this one. And I also think, considering the price and everything, that Bleu de Chanel Parfum is better than Bleu de Chanel Exclusive as well. Opening here, really nice, classy citrus. Lemon zest, bergamot. You also have mint in here. You have lavender, sandalwood as it dries down, a little bit of cedar, amberwood, you know, that kind of vibe also. So it's a very woodsy take on Bleu de Chanel, but not like a heavy, dark wood. You know, this one is very refined and elegant. It maintains that buttoned up, classy, high-end feel and has a nice bit of citrus there in the opening that just helps kind of guide you into that dry down. Now, it is a fragrance that more people are gonna think of as like a more formal take on Bleu de Chanel, but in reality, you can wear it whenever you want. Like, you can wear this stuff pretty much year round, maybe middle of summer. Don't go crazy, crazy heavy, but outside of that, wear it whenever you want. The next scent is for people that want a blue fragrance that looks nice, that can compete with stuff like Eau de Parfum, but they don't want to spend that much money. It's the original Ralph's Club by Ralph Lauren. You can often find this one online at discounters for a really cheap price. As of this video, you can find it for 40 bucks for a 100 ml size bottle. That is a tester, but I would go with the tester with this one to save a little money because, you know, the cap is built in here. So it's not one of those deals where you have to worry about getting it with no cap or anything like that. It's part of the bottle. No breakdown, super simple, really boring. Actually, lavender, clary sage, and wood, essentially. It's done by the same perfumer that did the Y line of fragrances. So you are gonna have a little similarity between those two. Maybe a little bit closer to something like Y Le Parfum, the original Y Le Parfum with this one. Not the exact same, but kind of one of those things where it might remind you a little bit of that one. It's not gonna be as sweet as most of the Y fragrances. It's a little bit more reined in, a little bit more aromatic, but it's gonna hit a lot of the same notes, and in terms of usability, whenever you want. Daytime, nighttime, any season, does not matter. And a lot of times you can find like the smaller bottle, 1.3 ounces, for like 20 bucks. So if you're looking for a blue fragrance from a known perfumer, a big name perfumer, that can compete with some of the big dogs, but you don't wanna spend that money, get this. And if you want something more under the radar, Montclair Sunrise Pour Homme. This is one of my favorites that kind of is a little bit of a hidden gem. It's not as cheap as the Rouse Club, unfortunately, so that is a little bit of a drawback, but the scent itself, really good. Blue fragrance-wise, I think this is one of the best out there. It kind of gives you bits and pieces of a bunch of different things, so a little bit of like Explorer from Montblanc or Invictus. There's a nice suede note in here also, some Bleu de Chanel mixed in there, maybe even like a tiny smidge of Sauvage. You know, it's taking bits and pieces from a lot of different things. Absolutely not a one-to-one with any of those though. And what comes out is just something that smells electric. Like it gives you this fantastic aromatic touch with some nice freshness, spiciness, a little bit of citrus in there, and certified year-round whenever you want. So if you're looking for something that, in my opinion, also goes toe-to-toe with like the really big dogs, but is way, way more under the radar, that. And there we have it. If you're looking for blue fragrances, these are some of the best. I wanna thank you guys for hanging with me. Let me know if you think the new Le Male blue fragrance is gonna be good. Is it gonna hang with these, be better, worse? Let me know. Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.